All right, class, we are going to continue with animal diversity. We're going to have an overview of the invertebrates. Now, I will say that with the invertebrates, if you're hearing something in my microphone, I have a cockatiel who is sitting on my hand and giving me kisses, and he's huffing, so you might hear that. Sorry, I'm weird, I know. Okay, so I will say in the few years that I've taught this course that they have restructured a lot of this, and they've based on DNA analysis, whereas we kind of had things in different groupings based on their characteristics. Now we have these in what we call clades. Clades are just taxonomic groupings. Clade doesn't equal class or order or phylum. It's just a taxonomic grouping that can mean either of those. And so we have clade, I just say Lophots, right? Lophotrochozoa. We have clade Exodosians, and we have clade Deuterostomia. So, okay, so we have the Lophots, the Exodosians, and the Deuterostomia. In the Lophots are, and these aren't all of them, we're just covering the major ones. You have phylum Platy Helmets, Phylum Analeta, Phylum Mollusca. In the Exodizoans, which are characterized by a shedding cuticle, you have nematodes and arthropods. And in Deuterostomia, we have Echinodermata and Chordata. So again, there are more phylum in these, but I just picked the major ones. And the chordates in here that we're going to cover are invertebrates. Vertebrates are another lecture. Okay, so we'll start off with the Platy Helmets. Now, these are really extensively covered in lab. So you will have more of an overview and some hands-on experiences with many of the phyla that are discussed here. These are your flatworms. 20,000 species. They can be marine, freshwater, or terrestrial. Bilateral symmetry, no body cavity, no circulatory system. So basically you just have direct contact with its environment, whether it is terrestrial, marine, or freshwater, as far as the exchange of gases and as well as like excretion with that contact. You have free living, like Planaria. That's the most well-known flatworm. You also have parasitic, like flukes and tapeworms. Phylum Analeta. These are your, they're composed of rings. These are like our ringed worms. And if you look closely at the pictures and the ones that you see in lab, you'll see those little concentric rings that form their body. 16,500 species. You have them in the ocean, you have them in freshwater, you have them terrestrially. They are bilaterally symmetrical and they have a coelom. Now the two classes that we have here, the Arantia and the Cnidarians, and then this has changed too. These classes have also changed. It's hard to keep up. Your Arantia they're going to be the ones that have, like you see those segments, so those concentric rings, but they have like projections from each of them. And most of these are in the water, like marine. So you see like that's a clam worm that they show. There are bristle worms too. The Cnidarians are the ones that don't have this. So earthworms and leeches are in the class Cnidarian under Phylum Analeta. Now, Cnidarians are actually like they move more. I mean, it's Latin or Greek for that. And then Cnidarians are the ones that don't move as much. Your mollusks. This is the second biggest phylum as far as animals are concerned. 100,000 known species. There's a lot of variation. But what is most unifying and as far as Phylum Mollusca is they're soft-bodied, and most of them have this carbonate shell. Most of them do. Some of them have reduced ones, or some of them actually, a few have like they've lost that. Open circulatory system, and they're known for this three-part body plan. They have a muscular foot a visceral mass where most of the organs are in the mantle, which is where you have the shell that's secreted. Where's the third one? Hold on. Oh, yeah, there it is. I forgot the, yeah, okay, that's a mistake on the PowerPoint. Visceral mass, the mantle, wait, visceral, muscular foot, the visceral mass, and the mantle. So those are the three. I guess I forgot a bracket there. And you can see that, and most of them, of course, they have a mouth. They have a radula. It's like a scraper almost. Lack of a better word, they're not really teeth, but it scrapes as far as for feeding. As far as its diversity within the phylum Mollusca, the Polyplacaphora are the chitons. They're just really very, very cool. Is there oh yeah, it's right in the middle of the picture. These are very primitive form of mollusk. They're found in fossil records from millions of years ago, but you can also find them today. They just kind of look like, well, they're not barnacles. They just look like, I don't know, like you dropped a fancy pancake on a rock. Boy. The gastropods, these are your snails and your slugs, may or may not have a shell, mostly terrestrial. Your class Bivalvia, the bivalve, the two shells, your clams, your oysters, mussels, scallops, these can be marine or freshwater. And then your cephalopods. These are the only ones with a closed circulatory system. The other classes have open circulatory systems. So most of these also don't have shells. But some of them do. So probably your most famous cephalopod are the octopus. It's an excellent film, My Octopus, Hero, My Octopus Friend. I'll look it up and I'll let you know in lab. That's just a documentary about an octopus. I think it's My Octopus Friend, but also includes squid and nautilus in class Cephalopoda. Your nematodes, so these are characterized by that they have like a hard cuticle, not that you snap them in half, but they have a tough cuticle, an outer layer that periodically sheds. I'm sorry, nematodes do, but the entire clade of the Exodizeza does have this cuticle. So this is the next, these aren't the lophats, it's the next one. So nematodes are your roundworms, mostly parasitic. These are the ones where you take your cat or dog into the vet as a puppy or kitten, and this is the most common intestinal parasite that they can have, but very like cylindrical, no circulatory system, very characteristic in that way. Did I not put a picture here? Holy cow, I don't know how I forgot that. Okay, I did that was my bad. Boy, that was really lazy. Now, Phylum Arthropoda, these are, again, they have cuticles that shed, just like the nematodes. That's why they're in this clade. The largest known phylum. There are 1 million different species of insects that we know of, and they are assuming that there are many more. The cuticle is made of pretty chunky stuff. It's made of chitin, and again, it periodically sheds or molts. Arthropods are characterized by open circulatory systems, as discussed in the last lecture. They have hemolymph that is circulated throughout the body, what we say the hemocell, as far as bathing those organs in this hemolymph to acquire the gas exchange and the nutrients that they require. It's such a large phylum. Of course, there are many different classes, but just picking the major ones here. Those that have the chelicerates, can't think of the word, like little, like specific jaws, and I can't believe I can't remember, a type of a jaw belong to this particular class. So you have your spiders, scorpions, ticks, mites, and horseshoe crabs. Myriapodas are your centipedes and millipedes. They used to be separated into two classes, and now they are put together, characterized by many legs and many different segments. The Crustacea, this is your class that has crustaceans like crabs and lobsters, and also insects. This is also new. They used to have class Crustacea and class Insecta, and they put them all into Pancrustacea based on DNA analysis. So this is an extremely large class of the largest phyla, these these Pancrustacea. Oops. And I should say we're going to get into much more detail about Pancrustacea and the different body plan of insects and lobsters that will be covered during lab. Now we are talking about the Deuterostomia, which includes Echinodermata and Chordata. As far as phylum Echinodermata, they are characterized by their spiny skin. In fact, that's what that translates to. So they have kind of rough, spiny skin. They are marine. There's 7,000 species of them. They are bilaterally symmetrical, but only as larvae. In adult stages, they are not bilaterally symmetrical, and they have 2 feet for locomotion, and they have a coelom. You have these different classes. Some of these may be familiar to you, and we'll see some of these in lab. The class Asteroidea are the sea stars. The class Ophiuroidea are the brittle stars. The class Echinoidea are the sea urchins and sand dollars. Your class Crinoidea are your sea lilies and feather stars. And your class Holothuriidea are your sea cucumbers. Now, as far as phylum Chordata, you have the central nervous cord. All Chordata, anyone in phylum Chordata has these 4 features. You have a notochord, right? You see on the right-hand side the picture, like a central nervous cord. A dorsal hollow, which is, I should say, a dorsal hollow nerve cord. You have a post-anal tail at some stage in development, and pharyngeal slits or clefts at some stage of development. Now, the invertebrates in phylum Chordata, because the class that we treat as a separate entity are the vertebrates. They have skeletons, and they have a vertebral column that surrounds their nerve cord. But these do not. These are invertebrate chordates. The Cephalopods are the lancelets. They're little marine critters. They're very basic looking. They kind of look like little switchblades. And then the Urocaudata is also known as sea squirts and sea blueberries, the tunicates, which are very basic animals. But because they have these 4 features in some part of the development, they are considered in the phylum Chordata. So we have these particular phyla that most of these we're going to see, in these different classes we will investigate in lab, but that's just an overview as far as the different characteristics or members of each of them. Okay, so bye for now.